All right, welcome everybody. Erin, this is our first podcast here. Erin just wanted to, kind of sit down, we'll introduce ourselves. Erin, and today we're going to go through some of our favorite photos. Erin, this is Erin.
Hi, I'm the model that we'll be looking at in the photos.
And my name is Tim. Erin, we've been shooting together now for a better part of 5 or 6 years. Erin, I couldn't tell you how many shoots we've done. Erin, we went through and there was,
I think it was like, that was in the thousands.
Yeah, it was like 10,000-ish.
Yeah.
Photos over the years, and not all of them were keepers, but a lot of them were. And so it took a while to kind of sift through all our favorites. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go through, kind of our picks here. I think we all picked out about 14 or so of our favorites. We'll see how many we get through today. Just kind of talk to them a little bit, and what we like about them, what we like shooting, and kind of go from there. You want to start? Or you want me to start?
Either way, I don't mind starting also.
Okay. Which one do you want to start with here?
Let's start with this one.
All right. So this one from one of our more recent shoots here pops up. I will hold it up. I'll throw it on the screen.
So what I like most about this shoot specifically was it was a different type of shoot. I've never shot anything like this before. And the material, what's that material called?
Mylar.
Mylar. So it's kind of like an aluminum base, I would say, or feels like aluminum, looks like aluminum, but it's very reflective. So shooting with that was really cool for me because that was my first time shooting with it. And also the outfit. I've got to give kudos over here to Tim. He's an expert at creating outfits and coming up with wardrobe. And this piece particularly, I really like all the floral and the colors, and seeing this come to life was really cool for me.
Yeah, and I love this one as well. And so this was probably my second or third time playing with Mylar. And this one here, I believe we did with Flash. I've done this with Constant Light as well, and that gives a little bit of different effect on the reflections here. And believe it or not, the bodysuit there, and I made that the morning of that shoot, and with old bodysuit, did a cutout on it, and I had all the leaves and the flowers and everything else, and we glued those all into place using some fabric glue and got that all together. So
came out beautifully. And super comfortable outfit as well.
You never know that was tossed together last minute.
No, you would not.
All right, so we'll swap back and forth here. So let me go to one of my picks here. I'm just going to start at the top as well.
Ooh,
so
I love this one.
This one and my next one are both pretty well, they might have even been done in the same shoot, I'll be honest, right? But maybe I'll cover both these at the same time. So I have that one there, and then this one as well. All right, so this was my first venture into the back projection, I believe, and we might have played around with it like a partial session on the shoot before this, but this was the first dedicated session to this. So, and the way this works is there's 3 projectors in this case, and I have 2 sitting on either side behind Erin, and coming around providing that rim light that you see. And on the first one, it's the blue. They're both blue on both sides, and then there's one that sits right next to where I am with the camera, and that's providing the main image. All right, and then we have some software that I've gotten out there, and that allows me to cycle through and control all 3 of those projectors from one PC. All right, so I can swap those images out. Generally, I have one hand on the projector, moving it around to align that image just right, because there's if you notice on this one here, there is like a tree dead center up on the back. This other one, it's not as aligned as well, but there's another one I have out there that I love that I did not put in this collection. It has Alice. Or kind of sitting right down there in the back, and it goes up and through, and it has like a little roadway, or just kind of climbing up the spine. That's phenomenal, right? Challenging because Erin or the model is moving all the time, right? So you're having to get that projection just right. You want some variation in your posing, but at the same time you want your image to kind of line up the way it should.
I was about to say that, yeah.
While still holding your camera and trying to get the right frame. So a little multi-talented there, but the results speak themselves. I mean, this is like body paint on steroids, which is why I love this.
Yeah, and as a model who definitely moves around a lot, Tim's great at keeping up with that because especially with these poses, any movement can change the entire look of how it's going to come out. And no, I love this shot. That's beautiful.
So let's go back over to, there we go. Just want to go on lower?
Yeah, let me do that, the black and whites. I really like these especially because the precision with your lights, like how we pose and the way that we have to pose for light to hit you at certain angles And the way that you can tell us, like, oh, if you move just slightly this way, the light's going to hit and it's going to accentuate like your muscles or your form better.
Right.
So I think that's my favorite part about shooting in this style, is that, again, every movement can change the look entirely. So we don't really know how it's going to come out until we see the final image. So my posing partner here, Gary, when we were moving around, it was like, to us, we thought, oh, all right, it's going to come out like this. And then we'd see it and we're like, whoa, okay. Like, that one small adjustment that Tim can see behind the camera really changed how the image came out. And this is one of my favorite shoots, just because of, to us, it was like almost completely dark, except just a little bit of light. And how we were, I think it was like a 45-degree angle in this particular shot, or you had the lights.
Yeah, they're about. So this was a strip box that was set up in the camera right here, and it was a gridded strip box, so it was very directional lighting. Right?
Yeah.
So if you moved 2 feet back or 2 feet forward, it drops off very quickly. And so hence, like Erin was talking about, you get that communication is key as you're taking those frames. And the models themselves, they can't see the flash is so quick, how that's lighting them up. So you're talking to them as you're going, hey, let's just take a half step forward, or a little half step this way, or the amount of difference that'll make, or in how it highlights, or in the ridges and the muscles and the tones and the body structures, is night or day. It doesn't take much, right? So
yeah, and you can
having that communication is definitely key when you're doing these type of shoots.
And you can see that in the image too, like what parts are dropping off in the darkness.
Yep.
So I guess that would be like my left side was, it's much darker than you see, like the lighting of this angle over here. Looks great in the photo. We had no idea it was going to look like that.
And props to them too. They spent days prior to practicing all these and getting
Yes.
getting all these poses right and testing to see what would work nicely. I believe this one is kind of the same shoot. If you want to kind of cover this one as well.
So same idea with this one, like one side of my body's lit up, the other side completely in darkness. But it definitely gives almost like that silhouette.
A mysterious vibe.
Yeah, that vibe. And it came out, way different than how I thought, because I'm like, all right, I see a little bit of light, and then Tim would tell me to move just slightly, or it could be by inches, and it's going to change the entire photo. But I think these type of photos come out so beautifully.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely love this style. This is something I've been doing a lot more of, and as we progressed here, and as you could see, as you'll see as we go through some of these, is over time. I should have covered this one after you did your other.
Yeah.
Over time, my styles changed. There's a whole bunch of things that pique both our interests, right? So we kind of started off back in 2019, 2020 when we started shooting, are doing a lot of photo meshes, I call them cosplay, but they're not really cosplay, right? And they're things where and we'll take a couple photos and then I'll merge her into something else. I'll make her look big on a small item, small on a big item, or just some really fun composite photos. As my skills with lighting increased, I kind of ventured out into some of like the bodyscaping we just saw, we played around with projection photography and just some regular beauty type stuff, and you name it. I probably hit all the genres at this point.
Yeah, I was like definitely grown the portfolio. So much variety. I guess while we have this photo up.
Yeah, so Erin, we should have probably covered this one. When we did the last one, this was part of that same shoot that Erin had picked for her first photo. Just different outfit, same kind of concept. So as you can see, this is a mesh between all the styles I was just kind of talking through, right? So we have our play with the Mylar there. That is the water. That water is real. That is the Mylar, right? And with her sitting on top of it, just in a different outfit than the one I had created there. And then
the wing effect you have there too.
The wing effect is in post,
yeah.
Right? I don't think you were wearing wings in this one. That was definitely a post wings. Mm-hmm. And then I just added the forest background in there. And just looking at this, you probably couldn't tell that, she wasn't sitting on a rock in a lake in a forest, right? And this is one of my better composites, which is why I kind of picked this one. It worked out well, not only meshing with, the background of some of the stuff we're playing with the Mylar, right? It worked out.
Yeah, a lot of styles all mixed in. So I think that's why I like this photo too, is that it mixed so many of your skill sets into one.
Right. I guess that one doesn't count because we already kind of talked through some of that one. So I'll go through another one of mine here, and then we'll go swap back over. All right, and so this was actually from our very first shoot. All right, and let me hold it up here. So this is where I was talking. We kind of started off with some of the the photo composite stuff, surrealist, if you would. So this one here, Erin, I was just taking a white backdrop, I believe, or I think I was using gray at that point in time.
Yeah, I think it was just a plain background.
Gray black thing, and just had her sit down there, and I gave her some feelings, right? I said, Erin, all right, Erin, there's something above you looking at you, Erin, you're terrified of it. It's going to get you, Erin. You're scared for your life. You do not know what to do with yourself, and Erin, go.
Yeah, and he had these visions, and once I saw the composites that came back from this, he made all those emotions into something. So I believe, is it this book that you had a smaller version of, or the background here? Because I remember you had some like small books that you blew up and to add to your composites.
Yeah, I mean it's not in this photo, but yes, I do have some smaller ones as well that we've used over the days. But yeah, no, this was fun. So this was one of my original ones, and it's held up pretty good. I'll be honest. And the fire in the doorway, I might do a little differently today, but even still, it's I like it.
That's crazy. That was like 5 years ago. Still hard to believe.
Right. Time passes quickly.
Yeah.
All right. So this is.
I love this one.
This is one of Erin's.
Makes me look so strong.
You want to talk to?
Oh yeah, sorry. I was distracted on the photo. I was like, wow, I look good. Yeah. So this one, I really liked a variety of things with this. One, the lighting. I think the lighting, how it's positioned, flatters me very well. And the colors. I believe that was from, you changed the colors, like the lighting.
Yeah, so at this point in time, this one was done with a projector, but I was doing it manually back then, right? So every projector was like its own screen. I had to go through, and I had I had a little tablet attached to one. I had, I think, a phone attached to the other one. I had a PC attached to this one, so I'd be running around and switching these out. But.
Yeah, I was like, there was so much going on, and it came up with this, and I was like, you know what, I love this. It's subtle, and it makes me, honestly, my figure is not like this on a daily, but it makes, how it came out makes me look like shiny and strong.
Definitely highlights the muscle tones in that one well.
Yes.
Those are biceps, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I was like, even my shoulders and my neck, I don't know where that came from. I'm here for it.
Right.
But it also gives that, what's that theme? It's like an implied, it kind of implies like my face is there, but you can't see it entirely.
Yep.
Same with my hands, but it's like almost like a statue.
Yeah.
Like if I were to go overseas and see statues, there's a lot like that. So I'd be like, oh.
Awesome. All right. All right. So let's just kind of stick here, and we'll just go to your next one as well. So.
Yeah, I feel like this one kind of fit with the same themes as before, with the black and white. This one was more recent, I believe.
This one was. So this was probably one of the last photo shoots in our old studio.
Yeah.
We did quite a few of the bodyscape-ish ones, or in the hard lighting ones starting towards the end there.
I know
I don't know if this gives me the date on it, but yeah.
From a modeling standpoint, with this type of shoot, I've been working on my lines and having something stick in frame and trying to change up, I guess, my posing. So I feel like this image kind of goes with that, and my own work towards trying to be better at posing for this type of shoot.
And through these, we both developed here a little, right? And it's all about, when you start getting to this type of photography, it's less about having that emotion or having that thing, because you can't see the face well, even if you can see it at all. Like in this one here, you don't even really see but your nose outline and things. So this one here is all about body shape. So it's a whole different type of modeling, whole different type of posing, whole different type of photography. It's telling, okay, keep that separation, right? Keep that those gaps in between your arms. If they're all like this, I'm only going to see one. Hold them like this, right? Now I can see both of them, right? Or if something's distracting, you can completely hide it just by holding it behind you, right? So learning those and learning how that shape's going to come out, Erin, is huge versus, very much spending most of your time concentrating on, that emotion or that feeling that you normally try to get through the eyes and through a normal.
Yeah, and I feel like our first shoots were mainly about the emotion and the feeling. And now getting into this, it's like, okay, now my face is hidden, and now it's more of the the figure.
Complete opposite. Erin kind of genre. Like I said, we skip around a lot, but Erin is cool because we get to do a lot, right? So, and we probably should have meshed a lot of these together, right?
Yeah, I was like, this
one's this one was one of my favorite picks here, but this is from one of the ones we already talked about as well. As you can see, we definitely have some favorite shoots we've done.
Yeah.
We're picking from the same genres. So this one is Erin and Gary again. This was one of the concepts that I asked them to do towards the end after they'd gone through all the poses they had rehearsed prior to. And I kind of wanted to show the contrast between a male and a female physique here, right? Which is why I kind of had them stand opposing sides, opposites. I put one light on either side, and just kind of highlight the different physiques through the arm muscles and legs and the body shapes. This one's particularly challenging too, just from trying to get the right lighting on both models, and you have to have it the right distance away, the right powers, and especially when you have different skin tones involved.
Yeah.
It does. I mean, it reflects differently, right? So you have to really take your time and think through everything and how you're having them pose. And this was not two different photos meshed together, and this was all done in one frame, all right? So which added the complexity from the photographer standpoint.
Yeah. And clearly we have two different physiques, so we had to move in certain directions for that light to hit perfectly. So one of us wasn't completely covered, and I think, that was a good shoot. Yeah. And keep in mind, these pics, there was like 10,000 photos to choose from plus. So the fact that we chose some from the same shoots is kind of interesting too.
It's not uncommon for us. We'll shoot for 2 hours at a time, right, and get some variety. We'll do a couple different concepts in each shoot, and it's not uncommon for us to sift through 600, 800 photos in a session, right? I'm not shy with a trigger, and that's one thing that's good about not having film to worry about. It's not a spray and pray type of thing, but when you do, 3, 4, 5 outfits, 6 outfits, 4 or 5 different concepts, you have, 2 or 3 different composites in mind for each outfit, that you could potentially do with them, right? You might not do all that with it, right? But
and we've knocked them out so fast sometimes too. So.
And just with the variations, right? With especially with the body projection stuff, the back projection stuff. And just the tweak from here to here makes a big difference on how that image lines up, right? So you almost need to take more than one frame as you're going along, especially with how many things I'm trying to do at the same time. You end up going through and there'll be 4, 5, 6, 8 pictures of the same, image on the backdrop before I shift it off, but you're only going to pick one of those.
Yeah, it's like
but,
a little different.
You want the best one, right?
Yeah.
So I'll just go through my next one here. So this one here, it's all about the lighting and for me. And so this was done with a few extra lights. So historically, and even now today, I generally only use 2 lights to do my a lot of my portraiture stuff. So I have one kind of sitting and off to camera left and just slightly low, and this is my fill light. It doesn't have much power there. It's just a little bit kicker, generally give a little bit of catch light in the eyes. And I have one that sits up in camera right, and is my preferred, and I'll switch it around depending on which way the model's posing and such. That sits really high, angled down about 45 degrees-ish, a little bit lower, more of an angle steeper down, and let it hit the backdrop and come back up and provide some fill as well. But that kind of just washes across the model. In this case here, I added an extra light, and I don't know if I have it sitting directly behind her or off to the side, but with a gel in it, or with the blue gel. And just adds a little bit of pop, right? So a lot of our stuff is, white backdrop, gray backdrop, I've done a few things with the pink, and I really like those as well, but generally I'm very neutral tone, so adding this little pop was something new for us, which is why I kind of selected it off, and quite honestly, the smoothness of the skin and everything else came out really well on this. So.
Yeah, I saw this image too, actually, when I was going through, and I do like how the light, how it hits my eyes. I think that was a big part of why I like this image, and like you said, the skin, just from all the lights and having that pop of blue, I think definitely added some color and
a little bit of color contrast, not light contrast, but just that color contrast
and
makes it stand out a little bit. Yeah, it's not overpowering for sure. All right, let's go. Where we leave off with you. All right. So here's our next image.
Yeah. So the top here, this is a 3D printed top by Tim over here, again with his creativity. I liked everything about this top. The fit, it was super comfortable, the design, it gave a lot of, I guess, given the theme of how I'm dressed, like that, I don't want to say goth, but it fit kind of like a
darker outfit, yeah.
Yeah, a darker outfit, which is definitely my favorite type of outfit, is black. But yeah, I really liked how the lights hit me in this one, the top itself, and generally speaking, like my pose is all right. So I liked everything about this one too.
Oh, awesome, yeah. And this was probably my second or third top I made, and I'll try zooming into this when we're going to do the cut on it. But there's a spider in the center of the top there and the web there, and to add a little bit of detail. And I believe the stockings I had just sitting around in one of my bins in the studio,
Yeah.
right? And that's one of the things I loved about having my own studio is, and I collect things and add things, and through the different Temu or whatever Sheen orders, I collected a whole bunch of stuff. So when you had a shoot, I wanted to test fit of this top, see how it worked, and we had to style it, kind of on the fly because it fit well. And it's like, all right, let's shoot it.
I'm like, yeah, spider web leggings and a spider. Let's do it. And I was giving Halloween.
Yeah, dug through and found some stuff that works there. So
yeah,
we'll just do a couple from here at the time, and we'll swap back over. So this is the next one here.
This was one of my favorites. Just like this was around Christmas time, and again on that Mylar, the ground with the lights, and we played around with different colored lights too. But I really liked this one. It's, to me, felt simple. It was cute, and the reflection turned out pretty good.
Turned out perfect, right?
Yeah.
And so in this one here, this is the difference. So the last one I talked about being used in flash, we use constant light on this one, just because I didn't need a whole bunch of power there. If I used a whole bunch of power, all those little fairy lights, the Christmas lights, would have been washed out, right? They wouldn't be as bright or as prominent in the photo. So we had to switch things up a little bit. And this is where I used one of the constant lights, and I believe just a little standard reflector on it, just to kick a little bit of extra light up onto you, and help give that reflection in the Mylar itself. And then obviously a low f-stop to give a little bit of bokeh, and that's what makes those lights glow versus being just a sharp pin light in the background. Which is why I like this one as well, right? It's that perfect camera settings there that gives that good bokeh to it, but you're still razor sharp up front. Right?
Yeah, and you can tell the bokeh from the background and how the lights are, like you said, little circles.
So our next one here, so I picked this one for a special reason. And Erin knows why, I can tell from her giggle. So, and I don't do very many outdoor shoots, and I do love them, and I need to start doing more of them. And so this is one of the few that we've done outside. We've probably only done 2 or 3 outside.
Yeah.
And yeah.
This was up in Stone Mountain.
This was at Stone Mountain, so this one was down by one of the mills there, and I brought my daughter along with this shoot. And this shot was the last set that we did before we left, and I think my favorite photos from the set. And what makes this one special is my daughter picked this location. She's like, "There's stairs over there, Daddy. We need to go use those." It's like, all right, we could go use those. We set up on those. I went down to the bottom, and I was like, all right. She has the eye already.
Yeah, I was like, she'll be a future photographer, which we've already decided because she chose this location, and it came out really good.
So we'll go into this next one here. So this one here was my play with episode light, I believe. So, and you can probably do this with the projectors as well, but this just allows the episode light is a very directional focused light. You see them, they're stage lights, right? So what you'd see, someone using a play, the spotlight down on somebody. But what's cool about these is you can put cards or gobos in there to change the different lights. So this one here is just a sliver of light, as you see coming across, and it provides out a little bit of mystery. And Erin nailed this one too, right? They give him just the hand pose up here. It gives that little mysterious. What am I thinking about? I'm half in the shade, half in the dark, but half light. It gives a. I don't know what vibe it gives, but I like it. Right?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I like this vibe, and I think we both worked really well together on this shot. Just, a sliver of light and kept with that vibe.
Yeah. All right, let's go back over to. All right.
I love this type of shoot. So for this shot particularly,
I don't know what that was.
it was that light. Don't know why, but
yeah, it's moving. Okay, all right.
A little spooky. So this particular shot, I remember, I had the pose going, but you had the idea to have water in a bottle and spray just enough water along my stomach, and it just added that extra effect of like shine, and I think it really brought out the muscle tone as well, just having that added little
Spritz,
feature. Yeah, spritz.
Did you put body oil on this one too, and then we spritzed it, or was it just the spritz of water?
I don't know about this one, but yeah, I know at one point we did do a little bit of baby oil and then spritz, but I don't know about this particular shot.
Yeah, definitely. But either way, it definitely brings out the the highlights and shadows a little bit more when it shines with the light,
yeah,
right, or with the water on there. And it amplifies the whole effect of the bodyscapes. And this is another set that I really love doing. All right, we've done probably 4 or 5 different, well, probably more than that now.
Yeah,
the bodyscape style, right, or in low key, or in style shoots where it's just glazing the light across, highlighting different features, highlighting different things, playing with different poses, right? Because laying down in one way is totally different vibe than laying on your side, or
adding that twist.
Adding a twist. I mean, just popping a hip up, or it makes all the difference in the ab muscles, or that you might not see in a normal photo, but when that light's just grazing across the top, it makes ginormous differences.
Yeah, and I know with this pose, there's also, like, you've added figurines and changed the lighting, so even though my pose is staying the same, there's been other ways that we've played and made it,
more
adding
fun. Yep.
Yeah, more creative.
And I think I might have one of those in my.
Oh
yeah, we got one down below. You actually, this is out of yours, so actually we can skip ahead and we can do that one next.
Yeah.
So we're talking about it. And this is the other one that she was just talking about, right? So this is one where we've added some figurines in, or into a standard bodyscape. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I guess contrary to the one we just saw, where it's just my pose, it's a little bit of spritz, just the light's going right over my body, versus this one where the light, I believe it's coming from behind, right? For this,
it is. So we did. Well, I mean, they're all coming from behind, right? So,
yeah.
Or with the other one, or one that's darker, the light sits behind and it's projecting directly on you. To this shoot, we did something different. Is we had a white backdrop behind you, and I shot the light at the backdrop and let the backdrop light come back over and light you up, giving this high key effect versus the low key that was on that last one.
And more of my body's lit up. And
correct. It's a little less contrasty. Right?
Yeah, so it makes it like the little figurines, they're kind of like that silhouette shadow effect. As you see, we have a little village over here with a tree, and that's all balancing on my stomach and rib cage. But yeah, I think you've gotten really creative with either buying, making, and putting together these figurines. So that always makes it fun too, is sometimes there's a plane, sometimes it's a house, 3D printed, what have you.
Yeah, you name it. We played a bunch of stuff. We've had amusement parks, planes, certain figurines, boats, climbers, certain work people, beach.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else we did, but
all kinds of farms.
But I think this is our first foray into the high key side, where we use the white backdrop and let it kind of cast across. And prior to this, we've always used the low key style, where it was a backdrop and only you were lit, or you and the figurines were lit. So a little bit different. How's that silhouette to stand out a little bit? And we've done this a couple times since, and I've always been very happy with the results there.
Same.
And let's see if I have any in that same. Yes, I do. So. From the same shoot.
We didn't plan this.
We did not plan this. We picked these independently, and since we picked these, so a little disclosure, we've actually picked these in November of last year.
Yeah.
So it's been a few months, and we've done probably a half dozen shoots since then, and we've done this style a couple more times. And if I went back and repicked, I probably would have picked some from our last one there.
Yeah.
I really like the Ferris wheel one that we did.
I like the plane diving.
Yes, the A10 one. I like, but not so much the F-17. We tried a couple different planes.
Yeah.
Like I said, experiment. You never know what you're going to get, what you're going to like. And you might think something will work out well, but a little tweak or a different plane makes a world of difference. Right?
Oh yeah.
So.
And the stick attached to the plane also made the world of a difference.
Right.
Like the pose had to be different than just laying flat, just enough to make the plane look like it was flying.
Yep.
So. Thought that was really cool too.
Well, yeah. So this one's for the same shoot. I mean, we could go back into the details on this one, but it's pretty much all the same thing. I like the lighting on this one. This was our first kind of our venture into this high key with the silhouetting, same figurines. This one actually has a little guy on it, so a little secret here is, you get a little fashion glue that's in the bottle, and you put those in the little figurine, and you hand the model, the little model to your model, and they place it on them, so that doesn't fall over, right? Because there's such a little base on there. If you didn't have that fashion glue on there or something to make it stick, and the second they breathed or moved or laughed or poof.
I was about to say the breathing is a big part from a model standpoint. How you breathe can change the look of the entire photo. So if I were to breathe out, that whole, they're either going to fall over or I now have a little mountain where the houses and that person would be.
So I'll go back to another one of mine here. So just because we're in the bodyscape genre, so this is back to the low key. So this is more of the kind of traditional bodyscape as you'd see out there, and what we originally played with. So I really picked this one because it is so contrasty, right? So a lot of the times when you do this, you get more than just that glazed line across the body, right? It's going to spill over, and you're going to see a little bit on, kind of the front side of the leg. And for this one here, and I'm going to be honest, I don't know where my light is. It's obviously behind and like it normally is, but it must be a lot lower than what we normally shoot with, because something controlled that light a little bit better than a lot of our other photos there. And there might be a little post-processing as far as contrast goes to get that, but why I picked this one is it is minimalistic is the word I'm looking for, right? It is one curve, right?
I was like, just one little line.
Just one line.
Up and over.
And if it, and you really looked at it real quick, and you might see maybe it's just a hillscape or something, right?
Yeah.
It's very minimalistic, right?
Yeah, I like it.
Which is why I like it, right?
I think that's what makes this photo too, is having it, what it is, it's my hip and down to my leg, but it doesn't show anything. It's just like, oh, here's a little line. I think it's pretty.
Sometimes the best photo is the simplest photo, right?
Yes.
So I just did those two. So let's go back to yours, and I think we left off there.
Yes. So everything about this one this is also from one of our earlier shoots. The costume provided by you, and with the background as well, having it all tied together, the lighting, the idea, like this was one of our first shoots together. I think that was that also made it exciting because I was like, trying new posing, and attitude. I know that was one thing that on this one was emphasized, like with the costume. Was you were telling me expressions, not particularly in this photo, but I think a little bit.
Yeah, that's one thing I like, working with all models, and Erin in particular here, is you can give somebody, if you find the right person to work with, or you don't need to tell them, okay, move your hip here, move this here, move this here, move this here, do this. You do that, you don't look natural, right? The model's going to be uncomfortable. I don't stand this way, right? But if you give them just a feeling or a vibe, it's like, hey, okay, you're badass from the future in a post-apocalyptic society, right? And you give them a scenario, build this in your head, have this feeling, have this, this vibe, or have that thought, and that can translate. If you're thinking through that, that translates through to your face, your emotions, and everything else. And you might tell them, okay, give me a standing pose and hands on your hips, but that's about as far as I get normally, or in a kind of posing. I guess direction, right?
Yeah, you feel like your directions are more like what do you feel, or you need to feel like you said, have the attitude, the mood. That changes how the model will pose. But you're right. If you tell them move a little bit this, then they may not know what to project. They may not know the particular mood. But I do like that your feedback's like that. Oh, get angry.
Probably scream.
Scream. I'm like, okay, it's coming.
The exception to that might be some of the the bodyscape type stuff where I need that little tweak, and you're not going to see that emotion anyway, right? And then something like this, I'll have the background picked out, or I'll have a couple backgrounds picked out, and I'll light and give the emotion to that feeling, right? So in this case here, you can see there's a little bit more reds in the background to your I guess it would be your right-hand side, the left hand of the photo, right? But so I put a red gel on that light when I was lighting it, because that background did not exist in real life. It was just a gray or a white background, and I replaced the background on it in post, right? But hardly ever go into a shot without having an idea of, for my composites, what I'm going to put back there, what we're going to use, or kind of going into it a little bit.
Yeah, you always come with a plan. You're like, I know what the background's going to be, and put this mood, and then pop it together.
So this looks like it was actually from the same shoot because it's the same outfit.
Same shoot, different mood.
And you can see how different Erin that is, right? But
right, and yeah, that's I think why I like these specifically because same shoot, completely different vibe. This one still giving a little badassery, but I'm balancing on a sword, but then it's also kind of giving feminine with
the hair,
the hair and the eyes, and the lights are different, so it's not there's no red gel, there's no light right at me. It's still giving that subtle like shadowy effect.
Absolutely, I love this photo too. When you pick this one out, the hair, the catch lights in the eyes, or in the facial expressions. Yeah, it has a much softer, but Erin with the sword and the outfit still says, "I'm a badass soft." Right?
Yeah.
All right, contrasting vibes, or it feels,
Yes.
which gives this one a good look.
But in the same outfit, which kind of shows you the contrast there.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to go to this one here. So I picked this one, Erin, for a couple of reasons. Erin, one, it was my first foray into painting backdrops. Erin, so that yellow backdrop was the first backdrop that I hand painted. Erin, I did this one in my garage, and it was yellows and some grays that were combined together. Tried a few different techniques. There's about 4 layers of paint on there. Erin, you can't tell it, just to get to work right. But I was going for like kind of a splotchy, just a little bit of different, contrasting colors, and you can see that it pulls out here. So it's not just a plain yellow, it's not a plain gray, it's not a plain blah. It has some character, but it's not distracting, right? So this was my go-to for a lot of just general portraiture and other things. Now I've used this background multiple times for my creative and some of my commercial work. And I like this, and I've done a gray one since as well, and that I really like. But that one there, instead of being sponged on, I kind of dragged it a little bit so I have some more lines, and used a spray bottle with water while it was wet to let it drip. But this was my first one I ever did, which is why I picked this one. And then just the lighting, the catch lights in the eyes, the feeling in the face, and I just kind of like it soft, right?
Yeah, and I do think the background also brings out the color on my face, and my eyes look really dark, and I think that makes the photo really pretty as a whole.
Yes, the color definitely works well for portraits, right? So I'm very happy with that one, and appreciative that I have someone to work with to test out all my new crazy ideas. All right,
this one was so cool.
So this one, Erin is our next one. So Erin, I had to put one of these ones in here. We played around with this one, this style. So this is light painting. We've done this 2 or 3 times. I think 2 times.
Yeah, I think 2 times.
And this might be from our second shoot, because this one's pretty good.
Yeah. I was like, this one's impressive.
So, Erin, this one here, we played around with that Mylar again. So it's probably around that same time frame as the other ones were, just a different day, all right? It's done, and it's a single exposure, all in the same camera, and it's used by painting the light on the model. And so there's a whole bunch of different techniques. A lot of times you'll see, all right, the model holds still, and then the photographer will run a light behind them, put them in silhouette, or run it around them, stuff like that. In this case here, I've basically used just a regular flashlight, handheld flashlight that was powerful. All right, and told her, okay, lay down on the Mylar here, and I turned on my camera. I did a long exposure, and I hit the flashlight once. I was like, all right, now sit up. And she sat up, and I hit the flashlight again.
Yes.
And then I stopped the exposure, and here you go, right? And this is probably our second or third attempt at getting that right, because you have to time it. Okay, do I hold the flashlight on for 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds? How long does it need to be there to capture that image, right? And then once you turn the flashlight off, it goes so dark the camera doesn't pick up anything.
Yeah, and every movement can blur the photo. So you got to be really careful too about being completely still
whenever that light's on.
Yeah, once the light's on. But and then once it's off, you can scurry to the top and do the other part of this.
This gives like an out-of-body vibe, and the fact that this is all done in one shot, is why I like this one so much, right?
Yeah, because this wasn't edited one to the other. It was quite literally, you did single frame, which is what's really cool about this one. And so clear too.
Right.
All right. Oh, this one was so fun. Also, a little pop of color, mysterious. I like everything about how you place the lighting on this, because it accentuates the important parts of the photo. It didn't matter what my face was doing. It didn't matter what my body was doing, but my hands to the hat, it implies that I'm under the hat. Mm-hmm. That's all you really needed to see.
Definitely. This one's part of like a shadow or foray into shadow play here, right? And is using light and shadow to make your image, right? Or in using highly directional or in oddly angled lights to light up what you want to light up and not light up what you don't, right? And in this case here, we had the light very high. It came down, gave that shadow over the face and the body, all right? And everything else are in the, it kind of speaks for itself there. Right?
Yeah, it was like, it's like a floating hat. And
No, this is definitely one of my favorite ones from that kind of genre or series.
Same.
Did I skip any up here? I don't think we did. I think we got all those. We're going through yours faster than we're going through mine. But
yeah, it's like, this one's so cool. It looks like I'm cut in half.
Yeah.
But everything about the projection with this, it's, you can see my figure all the way through, except that gap in the middle. And that's just how my body was placed. And I don't know, I just really like this, like the dark style with the light and being very neon.
Yeah, no, this is one of my favorite patterns to use in body projection as well, right? It's that gold and blue contrast very well together from a color standpoint, right? And then having that gap in between just gives, accentuates, or the body's curves and everything else, right? Which is why I like the pattern, right? In this particular case here, laying down, I believe this one's probably looking at its two projectors from either side at a slight angle coming in, which is giving it the lighting from either angle. And we just happened to where you're laying and how you're posing, they kind of lined up almost perfectly. So where the projector from the left-hand side is coming in gold and the one from the blend is coming in blue, and they're lining up.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? Which gives a continuity across or on both sides of the lighting all the way through.
And it's giving art. Like if I were to go to a museum, I'd want something like this, where it's like, not necessarily confuses the audience, but they're looking, they're like, oh. Like,
yeah, how was that done?
Yeah.
There's mystery there, but it's interesting, right? It's a very interesting image. It's not something you normally see, right? Which is the amazing part about photos like that. Well, I guess we're not getting too far ahead. Oh, hey.
Yeah, again, same.
I promise you, this is not planned. So
not planned.
I should have flipped back over this one before we did that. But
that's funny.
All right, so same shoot, just different image, right? From a different angle where you can see a little bit more of the body, a little bit zoomed out, right? But light's exactly the same place, right? And it's still doing the same type of thing, trying to give that mystery, or in that was the Carmen Sandiego, right?
Yeah.
San Diego, yeah, where you very mysterious red vibe, hat, or in, but in this case here, I use selective color as well in this edit, right? So the only thing that has color is the hat, or in your skin, and the bench you're sitting on there. It's all turned back to black and white, right? Which helps draw the eye to where you want it to be brought to, right?
I feel like it also has a slightly different energy than the first one. Like the first one was giving like confidence, like holding the hat. This one's giving more of a feminine, soft, like even though I'm still holding the hat, but having more of my body in there and more gentle of a hold.
Yeah,
I think that
gives more of a hide,
like secret,
secret look than I'm in charge, right?
Right,
and
not like this is my hat. It's more of like, and this is my hat.
Yes, awesome, yeah. And then
oh my goodness, also from that same.
No, this is a different one. This is a whole different outfit, right?
Oh, I was gonna say from the one where I was in the leathers outfit. I thought it was from the same shoot.
Did we do it on the same day? I don't know.
I don't remember, but
I think this is different.
I think probably different, but this one's also giving attitude, sword, or laser. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is another one that I like for just my different styles coming together, right? So originally, I don't think this is one of the few cases I came into this where my final image I did not have when I came into the shoot. I might have had a little bit, but it definitely was not this, right? We had more of a, we were going for the badass type vibe, right? Obviously the outfit and the attitude, the glasses, I give you a sword. I was going for a more futuristic sci-fi, or in, I'm trying to think what those movies, there's a couple movies out there where that badass, are in female kicking ass in the future, right? But, that's a real sword in the picture, right? That I've painted over, to make it look neon, laserish, right? I did the background to match, and the props that we had on hand at the time with the blue glow of the glasses, and just adding little features like biometrics in the back, like you're some cyborg, or in badass that's gonna go kill the guy in the future or the past to save the future, right? But
it's cool that the props, I feel like that also makes it tie in really well because it's so small, but adding glasses that just give that futuristic look, the sword, making it into a laser, even though they're like small tweaks, I feel like that makes the photo completely tie in with like what you edited for the background.
Yeah.
Because this was also shot with a white background.
It was, and you can see, I mean, that's what you see where she's standing on, that's what the background was. I mean, that just continued up behind her, right? So, and the blue is just done in post, and it works out well. It looks like she's in front of like a glass window in front of Earth with that's also a display, right?
Right.
So, and definitely have fun with images like that, and you can do so much, and it is completely fun. So this is going to be our last image for the day. Aww. And also happens to be from like our second shoot, I believe.
Yeah. This was a long time ago, but very cute. I mean, outfit is definitely giving, I guess, like schoolgirl reading, library type look. And yeah, I was sitting on that white, I don't want to say like a bench, but it was like a white box that you had in there.
Yep.
So he had told me, look behind you, like make it look like you're looking at some books. So I was holding a little book, or I don't remember.
It was a regular size book.
Yeah, I guess it was a regular size book. Holding it, looking behind, and then the whole background was just edited in. And I thought it looks so real to me. It looks like I'm actually on a bookshelf and I'm this big.
Right. And we did a series of these. I think I have four or five, or in of different states, right? And exactly what you're saying. This is one of those things where it's like, all right, give them a general direction. All right, look behind you. You're looking up at some books in awe of how big these things are. And all right, and I had one that where she's standing up in the same series, and it's like, all right, reach up like you're grabbing the top of something, right? And I have her grabbing the top of the book while she's standing up there in that series, right? Or trying to get it out, right?
And you had this all planned out too.
This is one of those that I had to plan out all in my head before we even went into it. Like I knew that I'm going to put you on a bookshelf. I knew that, in order to do that, I'm going to have, at a certain angle, right? You don't want to be too high on you or too low. And like a lot of cases when I'm shooting, I tend to get low and shoot up, right?
Yeah.
In this case here, I knew I wanted to be able to see the bottom of the shelf where you're sitting on. So I came up a little higher than what I normally do, just so that I would match the angle, when I wanted to take my bookshelf shots. And this bookshelf actually is in my front room of my house here. So.
Yeah. I remember you had a whole like set list, like you had the image like completely set before we were even shooting.
Yep.
You're like, I'm going to do this from this angle with this light. And I remember I was like, okay, he knows exactly what he's trying to shoot. So even costume, everything had been planned out to make this come to life. So I think this whole set was definitely still in my tops of our first shoots that we shot.
Yeah, absolutely. And it makes it so much easier when you come with that mindset. You know what you're going to want when you come in there just to get what you're looking for. Yeah. Although sometimes like that last one, the sci-fi one, wherever that one went to, it just works out then too.
Yeah, all right, we're just going to work together and make something out of it. But
yeah, no, having that concept prior to and having those mood boards definitely helps, right? And that's all evolved over the years as well.
Do you have a favorite theme that we've shot?
I love a lot of our earlier composite stuff, and those are some of my favorites. I do like all the bodyscapes, I don't really have a favorite. I'm just looking through everything we just kind of talked through. Everything is unique and different, and what I love is just about being able to get together, create, explore, change, bounce ideas off each other. All right, and it's one thing that I've appreciated about all these shoots. It's the fact that we're both open to trying new things and playing with things and comfortable with each other enough to, hey, let's try this. Oh yeah, let's blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Well, what if we did this? I love that.
Sure.
Let's go.
We'll change it up. We'll see if it works.
Yeah.
I think that's what I like too, is that there's such a variety. Like, I don't think I have a particular favorite. I definitely have favorite shots from certain shoots.
Right.
As we selected, but it was really hard to nail it down to like a certain amount of photos, because there's some I'm like, the creative side over here is similar to here, but also very different.
Right.
So I think I've just liked having a variety, and it really spices up our portfolios as well.
Definitely. And I think you see that in both the picks that you look through here, right? Neither one of us picked all of one genre. It's not all composites. It's not all, kind of beauty / like the Mylar type shoots. It's not all projection. It's not all,
right.
the escapes of the hard lighting. It's really, we've touched upon between ours, and most most of the genres we've shot, you know.
And you
I'm
can
trying to
see
think if there's anything that we've shot that we didn't select.
I don't know, but you can see like some of the earlier ideas that were being brought back into like the newer ones.
Yep.
Like the Mylar, like playing with it with one shoot and then coming back and then adding, you know, the composite
Building.
background and like, you know, the wings and, you know, you were building on it. Yeah. It was.
All right, let's play with this. This kind of works. I like this. All right, next time let's, or, you know, 5 times down the road,
Right.
let's throw it back. Let's add X, Y, and Z. Or it's like,
And same with those bodyscapes too.
Yep.
Started simple, then adding figurines and.
and trying to high key and then low key and then, you
Yeah,
know,
so I'm seeing that pattern while looking at them both together between his picks and my picks, and I think you can see that change, and that's really cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Awesome.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you guys for joining us today. And you know, we just want to kind of share our experiences through and share some of our favorite photos over the time, and you know, kind of how and why we work together so well.
Well, yeah. Thank you. This was great.
All right, have a good one, guys.